Well, first of all, thank you for doing this today. Would you mind just kind of introducing yourself, telling us who you are, where you're from, what your job is, and how long you've been doing it?
My name's Tehani. I'm originally from Hawaii and Colorado, and my job title right now is Laboratory Information Systems Manager. I've been working in the laboratory industry for over 10 years and just kind of worked my way up to the manager position.
Okay, great. And you said how long have you been doing the manager type role?
Manager role's been about 3 or 4 years at this point.
Okay, gotcha. And before that, what were you doing before being a manager? Were you doing more of the work that you're now managing, or were you doing something else?
Yes, I started as a medical laboratory scientist. So I was primarily performing testing, laboratory testing, like hands-on testing. Just kind of worked my way up through the laboratory field, and then made manager a couple years back. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to give you a couple different questions, and just feel free to give whatever response that comes to mind. So the first one is, do you think that management and leadership are different? And if so, how?
I think it depends on the context of it. You can have a leader who isn't necessarily a manager, and vice versa. So I think it can be the same, and it can be also different depending on what role you're playing.
Okay. Next question is, how do you get the most out of those that you are leading?
I think it's really important to empower your people, set expectations to begin with so they know what to expect of you, what is expected of them. That way it lays a really great foundation for your relationship going forward. That way you're not blindsiding them if they're not performing how you would expect them to, or everyone's just kind of on the same page to begin with. So I think that's really important. I also try to hold myself to the same standards as I would hold my staff as well, if that makes sense.
Okay. And if you hear noise in the background, there is a baby. So I know that you're a new mother of a second child. So congratulations on that. So the next question I had was, do you use any systems or tools to manage or lead, whether it be some type of online tracking programs, or whether it be, performance feedback, that type of thing, when you're leading people?
Yeah, we try to automate as much as possible because I am in the laboratory information systems field. So anything that can be automated, we try to do it. So if it's, automated notifications, automated checklists, everyone's got kind of the same standard set, and makes it as, dummy proof as possible, because people can always make mistakes. So if you try to minimize the, room for error, then that seems to help quite a bit.
Okay. Where would you say, based on your experience, that managers go wrong most often?
I can see it like if your personality clashes, maybe letting your emotions get in the way, not setting realistic expectations with your staff so everybody's not on the same page, not holding people accountable where they need to be held, including yourself. And I've noticed a lot of managers who don't have, the people skills. That's kind of a big thing that can be missing sometimes, which I know that staff tend to appreciate.
Okay. Have you had any formal training in regards to like management or leadership, whether it be school or just courses that you've taken, or even anything at your employer where they've given you actual formal training?
Yeah, part of our certification program for the laboratory field does come with a leadership/management course. You do a couple, it's almost like a whole semester of just on leadership and management in the laboratory. And then on top of that, they also offer, so the American Society for Pathology, they also offer a certificate program you can take in addition to that. And it's like a lab management university program. So actually try to do that as often as I can. So I've gone through 2 of those programs in addition to it.
Okay. what do you think the best way when you're working with, let's just say, I know some of your work you said was project-based work, when you have a team of very different personalities and very different skill sets, kind of what's your approach on, getting them to work the best and get the most out of them?
I think it's really important to remind everyone that we're all working towards the same goals. So if we can kind of figure out how could everyone contribute versus pitting everyone against each other, it's really important, especially when you're working with strong personalities. So if you can get everyone to focus on the goal and how can you all contribute to make this happen, that's very important because it reminds people why we're all here, and hopefully takes out some of those personality conflicts while you do that.
Okay, just have about 3 more questions. This one's about accountability, and it's in regards to if you have people on your team that, let's say that they're extremely good at their job, but you can't depend on them to be on time or to, one, how do you handle that? And then secondarily, if you have other people that, they're very good about being where they need to be and all that, but they struggle with the actual content of the work, just how what do you think about accountability and that type of thing?
Yeah, I think it's easier said than done, but that kind of goes back to setting a standard when you first begin. So if everyone understands the expectations set, here's the standard when you first start, and if you cannot meet these standards, then this is kind of the X, Y, and Z repercussions for it. So if you can at least try to, so you're not playing favorites, you can just kind of bring those standards to the forefront once again and just remind them, like, look, when we started, this is the expectation. If you're not performing, this is how we have to handle this. Even if they're a great employee, I think it's really important to not show so much favoritism and, this is the expectations, we all agreed on it, and this is kind of what we need to go off of.
Okay. What's one thing that you wish you had known about leading and managing beforehand? So now you're in the position of managing and leading, but when you look back, maybe you were missing a perspective or something. Is there something that you kind of wish you knew then that you know now?
Yeah, I think it's important not to try to be everybody's best friend, to be fair and, just try to address people as humans, but at the same time, try to keep it as fair as possible. That's really important because once you start getting a little too friendly and a little too, you start having favoritisms whether you like it or not. So it just makes it difficult with personality conflicts going forward.
Okay, last 2 questions. I'm going to give you a fill in the blank. I wish managers had more blank.
Management training and people skills.
Okay. And the last question I have, it's a little more of a fun one, is when you look back at your career, kind of 2-part, who's the best manager that you had and why? And then secondarily, the manager that had the most impact on you is because of why. And so that could be a bad manager, the second one. So the best manager you had and why, and the one that's had the most impact or has influenced you the most one way or the other on how you now lead.
The best manager I had, he's kind of where I got the idea of it's probably best just to try to standardize everything to begin with, because he was able to kind of pull off the balance between being very approachable and people loved him, like you'd want to go talk to him if you had issues, but at the same time he was able to uphold these standards and treat everyone fairly and still get the job done efficiently and always meet the goal. So that was something I admired very highly. He had a very high ethics and moral standard too, so that was great just to know that we're always doing the right thing. He's not gonna hide things under the rug if things aren't going well or whatever.
Okay.
And then the bad manager, also, you learn a lot from them as well. How not to treat people, how to value your employees, because if you've got great, valuable employees, you don't want to chase them out the door as well. So I think there's a lot to learn from both sides.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions that I had. So thank you for your time, and I'll let you get back to your little one. Thanks.